The night cycle transforms the harsh prison corridors into something resembling a tomb, with emergency lighting casting long shadows that dance across the polished metallic surfaces. The usual cacophony of prisoner voices, guard communications, and mechanical systems fades to a subdued hum that only emphasizes the oppressive weight of their confinement. This is the dead zone of the facility's daily rhythm, when skeleton crews monitor systems and most inhabitants surrender to whatever peace sleep might bring. Pearl lies on her narrow bunk, staring at her modified wrist device as numbers cascade across its tiny display. The data streams represent weeks of careful observation distilled into actionable intelligence, guard rotation schedules, surveillance sweep patterns, power fluctuation cycles, and the tiny windows of opportunity that exist within even the most secure systems. Her engineering mind has transformed the mundane routines of prison life into a detailed schematic of exploitable weaknesses. The countdown on her device reaches the critical moment. 3, 2, 1. Across the corridor, a faint purple glow begins to emanate from around the edges of Nova's cell door, so subtle that casual observation would dismiss it as a trick of the lighting. Pearl watches with fascination as the energy builds gradually, never intense enough to trigger automated alarm systems, but clearly sufficient to affect the door's locking mechanisms. The demonstration of control impresses her. Nova isn't just powerful, she's precise, applying exactly the right amount of force to achieve her objectives without creating unnecessary complications. The corridor lights flicker momentarily, a planned fluctuation that Pearl has timed to coincide with the shift change. The lone guard at his monitoring station doesn't notice, too busy fighting off sleep and checking personal messages on his unauthorized communication device. His negligence, which Pearl has observed and catalogued over multiple nights, represents exactly the kind of human weakness that systematic observation can exploit. Nova's cell door slides open just enough to allow her lithe form to slip through, her movements so fluid and silent that she seems to pause rather than step into the corridor. She crosses to Pearl's cell with the confidence of someone who has mapped every surveillance blind spot, every optimal path, every potential complication. Her approach to infiltration demonstrates the same intuitive understanding of systems that Pearl observed during their work detail. When Nova places her hands on Pearl's cell door control panel, the purple energy flows into the circuits, like liquid light finding the optimal pathway through a complex network. Pearl watches through her cell's observation window, noting how Nova's abilities seem to interface directly with electronic systems rather than simply overpowering them. The door unlocks with a soft click that barely registers above the ambient noise of life support systems. They exchange nods of mutual acknowledgement, two professionals recognizing competence in each other, before moving silently down the corridor away from the oblivious guard. Pearl leads the way with confidence born of meticulous preparation, while Nova follows with the fluid grace of someone accustomed to moving unseen through hostile territory. Maintenance shaft. The maintenance shaft represents Pearl's domain, a narrow utilitarian space filled with the building blocks of civilization that most people never see or consider. Pipes carrying water, air, and waste flow overhead, while conduits bearing power and data run along the walls in carefully labelled bundles. This is where the real work of keeping a space station functional happens, hidden from the sterile perfection of public areas, but absolutely essential to survival. Pearl navigates through this mechanical maze with the confidence of someone who understands that buildings are just large machines, each system interconnected and interdependent. Her modified device provides real-time data about their location relative to critical infrastructure, mapping their progress toward objectives while monitoring for potential complications. Every junction, every access panel, every maintenance hatch represents either opportunity or obstacle in her mental blueprint of their escape route.
made sure they got away while I created a distraction.
Nova's empathic abilities pick up the emotional undertones that Pearl tries to keep buried, the weight of command decisions, the cost of ensuring others' survival, the loneliness of leadership when success requires personal sacrifice.
The damage to the flagship wasn't just resistance, it was sacrifice.
Pearl's discomfort with this characterization is immediate and obvious. Accepting praise for heroic actions feels too much like self-aggrandizement, too far from her practical view of problem-solving under pressure.
It was necessary. I knew what I was doing.
Before Nova can respond to this deflection, she suddenly stops moving and places a restraining hand on Pearl's arm. Her head tilts in a listening pose that Pearl recognizes as the alien equivalent of checking sensors for potential threats.
Wait. Guards approaching. 2 of them.
Nova warns with quiet urgency. Pearl's immediate alarm is understandable. She's been relying on careful timing and mapped patrol routes, so unexpected guard activity represents a potentially catastrophic variable.
How do you know? I don't hear anything.
Nova's explanation reveals another practical application of her unusual abilities.
I sense their energy signatures. Quick, in here.
She pulls Pearl into a small maintenance closet, barely large enough to accommodate both of them. They press together in the confined space, Pearl's practical uniform rough against Nova's somehow still elegant prison jumpsuit. The proximity forces an intimacy that neither expected, their breathing synchronized as they strain to avoid detection. The approaching footsteps and voices grow louder, confirming Nova's warning with impressive accuracy. Pearl files away this demonstration of the alien's sensory capabilities for future reference. Having advance warning of guard movements could prove invaluable for their escape efforts.
Saying the new prisoner is royalty or something on her planet,
one guard mentions as they pass the closet, his tone carrying the casual gossip that flows through any closed institution.
Who cares? Purple freak, if you ask me. All those aliens look the same anyway.
The second guard responds with the reflexive xenophobia that Pearl has noticed throughout the facility. The guard's conversation provides inadvertent intelligence about how the Authority views its non-human prisoners, but also raises questions about Nova's background that Pearl hasn't considered. After the footsteps fade, and they wait appropriate additional time, Pearl addresses the information she's just overheard.
Royalty?
Pearl questions quietly, her voice carrying curiosity about potential complications. Nova's reluctance to discuss her background is evident in her deflective response.
Former Celestial Regent. It matters little now.
Pearl's engineer's mind immediately begins calculating the implications of this revelation. Royal status could mean additional security measures, political complications, or valuable bargaining potential, all variables that could significantly impact their escape plans.
You didn't mention that part.
Nova's philosophical approach to her changed circumstances reflects either genuine wisdom or carefully constructed defense mechanisms.
Would it have changed anything? Titles are meaningless constructs.
No, but...
Pearl begins, then suddenly stops, as another hot flash crashes through her system like a wave of superheated plasma. The timing is particularly unfortunate, given their confined space and need for silence. Pearl begins fanning herself vigorously, trying to manage the sudden surge of heat that makes the small closet feel like an oven. Sweat beads on her forehead as her body's thermostat goes haywire, creating exactly the kind of distraction they can't afford during a covert operation. Nova's response is immediate and practical, gently placing her hands on Pearl's shoulders as that familiar cooling sensation spreads from her touch. The relief is profound and immediate, like someone adjusting the environmental controls on a malfunctioning life support system.
Focus on your breath. The heat surge will pass,
Nova soothes, her voice carrying the authority of someone who has guided others through similar experiences. Pearl's amazement at this practical application of Nova's abilities is tinged with scientific curiosity.
How did you do that?
Nova's explanation opens new possibilities for understanding the biological changes Pearl has been experiencing.
The ascendance brings gifts if you learn to channel it. The fire that burns within you can be controlled.
Pearl's skepticism wars with the undeniable evidence of her own improved comfort.
Menopause as a superpower? Now I've heard everything.
Nova's expression grows earnest, carrying the weight of cultural knowledge spanning millennia.
It is precisely that, a biological transformation that realigns your energetic core. On my world, it marks the transition to our most powerful phase of life.
The concept challenges everything Pearl has been told about aging and decline, suggesting instead that her body might be preparing for enhancement rather than deterioration. The engineer in her appreciates the elegance of a system that transforms rather than simply breaks down, even as her scientific training rebels against accepting phenomena she can't measure or replicate. Pearl shakes her head, but the seed of possibility has been planted.
We should move. The communication hub awaits.
They slip out of the closet and continue their careful journey through the station's hidden arteries, each step bringing them closer to either freedom or discovery. Communication hub. The communication hub represents the nerve center of the station's connection to the broader galaxy, a medium-sized room packed with sophisticated equipment that makes Pearl's engineering heart race with appreciation for elegant design. Banks of quantum entanglement communicators line the walls alongside traditional subspace arrays, creating redundant systems capable of maintaining contact across impossible distances. The setup speaks to the authorities' understanding that information flow is the lifeblood of any interstellar organization. Pearl approaches the central console with the reverence of someone who truly understands the complexity of the systems before her. Her fingers dance across the interface with practiced skill, probing security protocols and mapping data pathways with the methodical approach that has served her throughout her career. Each attempt to penetrate the system's defenses teaches her something new about authority encryption methods and communication protocols.
Almost got it. Their security's good, but not good enough.
Pearl mutters, her concentration absolute, as she applies decades of engineering experience to the problem of unauthorized access. The familiar thrill of solving complex technical challenges energizes her, despite their precarious situation. This is what she was born to do, taking systems apart, understanding their essential functions, and making them perform in ways their designers never intended. The authorities' programmers are skilled, but they're working within conventional parameters, while Pearl approaches problems from angles they never considered. Nova stands sentinel at the door, her enhanced senses monitoring the corridors for any sign of discovery. Her ability to detect approaching threats before conventional observation makes her the perfect lookout, allowing Pearl to focus entirely on the technical challenge without worrying about mundane security concerns.
We have a problem. Multiple guards approaching. They know we've escaped.
Nova reports, her voice tight with urgency as her empathic abilities pick up the focused hostility of an active search. Pearl doesn't look up from her work, her hands moving even faster as she realizes their window of opportunity is rapidly closing.
I just need 30 more seconds.
The sound of military boots on metal flooring grows distinctly louder, accompanied by the harsh voices of guards coordinating their search pattern. Nova's estimation of their remaining time grows more pessimistic by the moment.
We don't have 30 seconds.
She warns, moving closer to Pearl's position. Nova's decision comes with the swiftness of someone accustomed to making critical choices under pressure.
May I?
Pearl's hesitation lasts only a moment before practical necessity overrides her preference for working alone. She nods, making space at the console for Nova's participation. Nova places her hands alongside Pearl's on the interface, and immediately the purple energy begins flowing into the communication systems. Pearl watches in fascination as the alien energy interacts with human-designed technology, creating harmonics and resonances that bypass security protocols through methods no authority programmer could have anticipated.
What are you?
Pearl starts to ask, then stops as the console suddenly blazes to life with activity. The combination of Pearl's technical expertise and Nova's bioenergetic abilities creates a synergy that neither could achieve alone. Pearl's knowledge provides precise targeting for Nova's power, while Nova's energy amplifies Pearl's commands beyond the normal limitations of the system. The result is a quantum leap in processing speed that compresses minutes of work into seconds of seamless collaboration.
Combining our strengths, my energy, your knowledge.
Nova explains as their combined efforts complete the message transmission with time to spare. Pearl stares at the console in amazement, recognizing that they've just accomplished something that should have been impossible given the available time and resources. The implications for future collaboration are staggering. If they can achieve this level of integration consistently, there might be no system they couldn't eventually overcome. The completion of their message transmission coincides almost perfectly with the arrival of their pursuers. As the door begins to iris open, Pearl and Nova exchange a look of mutual understanding and shared determination.
Now we run.
Nova declares with quiet intensity.